Hello, everyone. My name is JD Colon, and this is Indie Comics this week. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in this guy. There you go.
What's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm well. Yourself?
I'm a little upset with you tonight, buddy.
Why?
Because I looked at the cast that's coming on, and there's quite a few people that do not have beards, and more specifically, there's quite a few people that don't have gray hair. That's pissing me off, bro. What's the selection process like nowadays? Come on, man.
Listen, man, we got to get rid of the gray beards and we got to bring in some younger folks. That's all that is,
All right, well, let's bring them on and let's introduce everybody to, why Uncompleted. How about you do that?
All right, so we have our co-host for tonight.
Hey, how's it going?
No beard,
but I don't know, maybe gray. I'm turning 50 this year. I know I don't look my age at all, so no gray yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, but we all have glasses, so there you go.
We do. My family had glasses for years, and then they gave me such a hard time when I had to get them. They're like, join the club. I'm like, okay, whatever. So yeah. So I'm here pitching my comic Knocked, which I got 3 pages left of the 3rd story, and then I'm done. So I'm getting that done. Happy to be here, man.
Way to be, brother.
Hey,
What's
gray-haired beard. What do you want to talk about?
That's it. Hey,
I'm only 28. I've got grandkids that are almost as old as I am. So there we are. Randy Zimmerman, Arrow Comics. Been around for probably too long. So doing all sorts of stuff right now. I'm working on the Atlantean with Russ Leach. It's the continuation of the Shadow Kingdom. It's Cull, it's Brule, it's barbarian stories. It's all sorts of fun. So next campaign for that will be on fundmycomic.com in March for number 2 of the Atlantean. Almost finished. So it's looking real good.
Russ is killing it. Well,
you
both.
He's just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
And if you like Atlantean 1, you're going to love Atlantean 2. So.
All right, cool. Jorge, pleasure to meet you. Please introduce yourself.
Same over here. Pleasure to meet you all. Hi.
Well, introduce yourself.
Yes, so I'm Jorge, comic book artist and illustrator from Colombia. I like most of my projects so far have been horror inclined.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like what I've been doing recently. Not much to say so far, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. And your partner in crime, what's up, Morgan?
Hey, what's up, JD? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Morgan. I'm a 20-year-old cartoonist based in Tennessee, and I'm running a Kickstarter campaign for the 4th issue of my comic book series, Frankie Boy Monster, who Jorge is drawing the main story for. So yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, look, and now I'm gonna bring on a guy who has both a mustache and a beard. I think he might have some gray hairs, but he definitely has glasses.
Thanks. Cheers, mate.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Herron. I'm a writer and creator of 3 series, Enenra, Ice and Bone, and Amor Patrice. Ice and Bone is on Kickstarter now. It's a action samurai horror. So if you like kick-ass sword-wielding decapitations, then check it out.
All right, cool. All right, now this guy, no glasses, mustache, beard, no gray hair. No gray hair in this guy. So.
What up, everybody? I specifically didn't wear my hat because I wanted Jay to see the jet black hair, because I know last time he was on with me, we had a whole... He's like, you're so young, man. You got all that black hair. I'm like, you just can't see the grays. They're in there somewhere.
No, brother, you don't got to know. I got the Stanley sideburns going on over here. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
When you have to go looking for the gray hair, you have no gray hair.
Yeah, that's a good feeling, I guess. I can't complain about that. But I mean, I'm the gap between everybody. Like you said, I got the beard. I got, I'm in there, But
you're holding the line.
Yeah, glad to be back. Nice to meet you again, JD, for like the 4th or 15th time. I don't know how many times I've been here, but I love being here. Nice to be on again.
Listen, it's always great having you on. You know how it is. All right, gentlemen, let's start with the damn show question.
Uh-huh.
All right. I don't know if any of you got a chance to look at it. Greed, is it working for or against us as indie creators? Now I'm gonna let you guys come up with your own interpretation of that question. If you need some clarification, you can ask. But I'll let you go for it on your own. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
I mean, personally, I can see how it's benefiting me a little bit because instead of canceling, accounts with certain social media things for political reasons, like some people have been doing, I have not been doing that, and I do get a lot of backers from those social media things. So, I mean, is greed helping me make my comics? I guess so, or I guess I don't know if that's greed. I don't know what you call it, but that's kind of what I took from that question when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, I think there's people who on social media don't know how to use it right. So they'll only post their own posts and they won't retweet other people or repost other people and stuff like that. And I think that's a stupid kind of greed. They don't realize they're hurting their own, community building ways like that. Like when you retweet another person's Kickstarter, they remember that. And then next time you run a Kickstarter, they retweet it. And say you run 5 in the time that they run 1, they're going to retweet all 5. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta spread the love. So you don't be greedy about that kind of stuff too. Even if you have a bigger following, stuff like that, that shit don't matter. You got to spread it for everybody. So that kind of greed does not help.
Gosh. All right, cool. Mr. Aaron, what do you think?
I agree. I think it's helping. I think not necessarily the greed, it's the ambition of getting comics out there, getting it published, getting it finished, getting the Kickstarter funded, which is always a difficult task in itself.
Mm-hmm.
The ambition, I think, takes over the greed because we always want to make it big, put Marvel and DC in their place and, make it really. Get your comics in the stores. So yes, I think it's working for us.
All right, fair enough. I mean, to split a hair, I don't consider greed and ambition the same thing. But but that's splitting a hair. It's a very fine hair too. It's a very fine hair. So
This fine.
You're very. Randy, what are your thoughts?
That's why most of us have beards, so we don't have to worry about trying to find a hair to split. Really, it all depends on what angle you want to talk about greed. Is greed harming us when a print-on-demand company decides to jack their rates up 30%, so your per unit cost is almost impossible? When the shipping rates jack up to unbelievable amounts, so you can't help but shipping anything overseas is 3 times, or out of the country really is 3 times more than the cost of your product. And is it greed in general? And are we here working in the indies to be greedy? I can't say I've ever rubbed my hands together and said, oh yeah, we're going to get that reader for another 50 cents or whatever a unit and really get them good. That's not I don't think anybody in the indie market is that kind of greedy at this point, especially considering our economy. So where do you want to take this question?
Yeah, no, I think he's got a real good point there.
Yeah. Like I said, that's why I left it open-ended. I wanted to see everybody's interpretation of the question. It's just it's one of those.
I like Sarah's comment. When money outweighs the passion.
There you go. Yep.
That's very good saying that. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Next time someone brings this shit up, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm just taking Sarah's line.
Well, we're here in the indie market. We all should be ambitious. I mean, to one extent or another, we have to be willing. If we've been in the business as long as JD and I have been, I don't think greed figures in at all. Just trying to make a living would be a good thing,
Yeah, I haven't had that in a while, so
there you
I started working professionally. So.
Mm-hmm.
Jorge, what are your thoughts on that question?
Well, I mean, I think to a certain degree, it's like a good motivator,
Mm-hmm.
But only at a personal level. So I think you can get some good things out of a greedy mindset if you're competing against yourself if you're trying to impose your greediness into a community or your partners, or maybe if you're working with let's say in comics, for example, if you're fighting over royalties with your writer or your artist, I think that's when it leads to a downfall in whatever you're doing. And I say it from a point of like experience. It's a bit complicated, but I think that if you use that to better yourself, or to kind of like get something out of it for yourself and by yourself, that's usually a good thing.
All right, cool. Well said. I mean, yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, since I just pay my artists, I never have to fight with them over royalties.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I would imagine it's heartbreaking when you're sitting down and having a debate with someone who you're partners with, and be like, hey, what's my cut and this, that, and the other thing, So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true, because like you said, JD, it's like, what royalties really? Like, first of all, it's like I pay my artists, and then I don't make no damn money anyway. Like, even when I sell the books, I just get enough to like reprint the fucking books and go back into the convention and try to do it again. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to tell the stories. I guess I'm greedy because I want everyone's fucking attention, man.
Well,
But
there you go.
Yeah, but that's not greedy, but that's good, man. You're working, bro. You're working. But I like,
Well,
I
listen,
like the way
JJ,
we're working with.
don't step on Morgan.
yeah.
Step it on Morgan.
All right, Morgan. I'm being greedy, Morgan. I'm sorry.
I'm the guest. I don't know. I mean, it's such a weird thing, because I don't know. When I think of greed, I think of self-interest, and I think to a certain degree, like, most artists are kind of slightly self-interested anyways, because like, if you're trying to get your vision out there, you're trying to like overcome any obstacle in your way, but not everything is an obstacle, and you do need to work with people, even if you're like the one guy writing and drawing the book for a certain amount of time. Like, you do have to ask for help in ways to like kind of navigate your space. So I don't know. I think mostly greed definitely hurts. I think, it. Yeah, I would definitely say greed probably hurts more than it helps. Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Aaron,
second one. I've always, to me, greed is always. I don't know if this has to do with greed, but it seems like the more greedy, more money is important to somebody, the safer they play it with the story and the content. And when money is not an obstacle, but just like the artistic vision, then they take more chances. You see this in video games and movies. Movies become very generic, especially the big budget movies. Same with video games. Big budget video games have become all samey, because why take a chance when you got all that money on the line? Which is why I find it funny when there's no money on the line in comics, people want to play it safe. I'm like, why? You're not. I mean, why would you want to play it safe in comics? And so I've seen. I don't know if this has to do with greed, but I've seen a lot of comics start on Kickstarter as like horror comic and adventure comic, and then they start going into like not so much the variant covers, but like the nude variant covers, or like certain things that cater to the collector's market, and kind of lose their vision. Like they start out with like really cool vision, and then they kind of go down to what sells. And there's been a few that I like. You're a former shout of what you started out with. You're making money now by playing it safe and catering to what sells. But so I sometimes don't know if greed and artistic vision can really go hand in hand, because artistic vision is you have to take a bigger risk. There's not a guaranteed return on investment. Playing safe, you're probably going to get some return on investment. Now, again, I can say this because my cost is minimal because I do everything myself. So, I mean, if I was a writer, I would probably veer more towards playing it safe, because I need to pay my artists or whatever. But since I can do everything myself, I'm probably allowed to take more risks. And there could be something in that too. So I just think the more greed takes place, the more generic things come. This is why I get so bored of like movies and video games, like, because I'm just like, where's something, and anything something different comes in, then I'm just like, wow. And then even though it never sells, it was still really cool.
It'll sell like 40 years later. Like
It did. Well, strangely enough,
Yeah.
and this is a video game, but I don't know if you guys ever heard of a video game called Okami.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of Okami? Okay. It was a game where you played a dog, like a sun
Yeah,
god
like
incarnated as a dog. Yeah, it was awesome, and it was like a sumi brush oil painting, and you actually used a sumi brush in the game to defeat your enemies. It was really amazing, and it got ignored and didn't sell well. They're actually making a sequel, what, 30 years, 40 years later? So it did catch on, but it's funny. But were they looking into making money? Well, yeah, probably, but they probably knew they weren't going to make as much money as, say, Call of Duty.
yeah, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a difference in that.
Yeah.
So,
Gonna make as much as Doom.
Doom, yeah.
Yeah.
Doom straight up ripped off Spawn. They're like, all right, we're gonna go medieval now. Like, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm. All right, Jay.
Yeah, all right. I see Greed as somebody who's charging $25 for a non-premium cover book that's only 24 pages. That's somebody who's not budgeting correctly. That's somebody who's not educated on setting margins correctly. I see Greed as somebody who's charging $20 for an autograph at a convention when they have no name and they're no draw. I see somebody greedy as they are selling a bunch of books and not giving the customer a break on a bundle. So, you're selling 5 books for $20 and it's still 100. Well, give them something else or throw something in there. Is that gonna work against us? Yes, because now that customer, forget about whether they had money to spread around. They're not going to feel comfortable coming back into our little section of the convention again. All right. So that also spreads around. I'm saying this because I have gotten that reaction firsthand from other people. Right. I see greed as people who at conventions are tearing down other creators just so they can make a couple extra bucks in sales while they're at the con.
I apologize for that, dude.
There's a difference, and there's a difference between that and poaching somebody else, right? Because sometimes that happens where folks could be at your booth and the person next to you will be like, "Oh, why don't you come over here and check this out?" Right? That's not greeting. Sometimes they're ignorant of social etiquette at a convention, right? So poaching is different from greed. Greed is like, "Oh, you don't want to go over there. You want to come here and get our stuff." Right? That I see that as greedy. And it's a rat fuck move. Excuse me. So
right.
Yes, it works against us.
All right.
I do know when you're defeated sometimes because if they set up the anime section next to me, I might as well just call it a day, especially with the teenage girls. Like, oh, I've got anime. I just add one of my tables completely covered in like teenage girls, which is fine, but they're not buying my stuff; they're buying that stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to answer the question, one of the things I see on Kickstarter specifically is you see creators on there making 5-figure sums and not just 10,000, they're making 20, 30, 40,000, and they're using AI covers, right? Mm-hmm. They're using AI on their interiors. And, when you're making that type of money and you have to just be like, all right, this is all mine. I'm not even going to share that out with an artist or an art team, right? I mean, I consider that greedy, especially when these people have been around for a while, because it's not just one, there's several of them, right? I'm not going to name any names. You go fish them out for yourself. They're there.
Put them in a private jet. I'm sorry.
Right. Another thing is they're long-time people who've been in this business who have made tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on this business, who I question as to whether or not they've ever given anything back to the business, right? And we're talking about long-standing professionals, people. If I mention their names, you guys be like, "Oh, that guy's beyond reproach," and I'd be like, "Yeah. Bullshit."
Fuck that.
Right, bullshit. You understand? A lot of these people, we have their toys. Okay, right? So, I mean, these are guys who are very famous, been in the business a long time. incredible artists. Maybe they give money to other organizations. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I don't feel they've ever really given anything back to the business, right? At least guys like Jim Lee, when the shutdown happened, he was doing a bunch of artwork and he was donating all that money that he sold those pieces to stores, right? Mike Mignola was doing something similar. He wasn't donating to stores, but he was giving it out to that food charity, right? And I mean, according to them, I think he raised over $700,000 for them or something crazy like that.
Cool.
So, I mean, there are some people that do some great things, but there are plenty in here who I don't think have done shit for this business, but take some more. But I don't know. Maybe they're out there. Maybe they're donating to UNICEF and some other foundation, and
it's like the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Ted Danson donates as anonymous.
Right.
You never know. You might just not hear about it.
Right. You never know, and that's quite possible.
Or you could take that money and buy a couple of world record home run baseballs. I mean, you could do stuff.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's what I was say. Well, I know. Like, didn't Eastman? He did the Zurich Foundation.
Zurich Foundation.
Does he still do that, or is it that?
No, he can't.
He ran out of money, brother.
No,
he
he
did.
didn't.
Okay.
No, he didn't. He gave up on it because of Kickstarter. What was happening was he had people. He was giving the money to the Zurich guys. Then they would go into Kickstarter, raise another 10, 20,000. He was just like, what am I here for? I'm just giving you $5,000 because that was the cap. Was $5,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just like, Kickstarter there. Go ahead.
That was Peter Laird that was doing that, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was Kevin Eastman.
Yeah.
It's more Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, Eastman did Tundra.
Okay, cool.
Tundra. He had MoMA
was
or Mocha. Which one did he have? MoMA, Mocha? He owned the comic book museum.
Oh, I think I know that.
Was Eastman,
yeah,
wasn't it?
That was Eastman.
Yeah.
He owned the comic book museum, and I forgot which one it was. I'm sorry.
Peter Laird's still out there. He's been more quiet in the industry. I think he just kind of went his own way a little bit. He's still in comics, but not as much as Eastman was. Eastman was much more into his own company, Heavy Metal. And Peter Laird, you were like, what happened to him? And then when the Turtles came back with Last Ronin and stuff, you've seen a little more of him. But I think he just kind of
he got enough money to not do anything for the rest.
Oh yeah, no, he
can
just sit there.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
All right, Jay, what's your question?
Yeah, I had one, but the AI thing brought up something really nice. What happens if you spend premium bucks on an artist who has a name that can be traded on, that provides you with an AI cover, but you don't know that it's an AI cover until it reaches public or you've gone to print? How do you handle a situation like that?
Well, it's not what happened to McFarlane, kind of, or did he know? Remember we had that cover contest and they were using the guy.
Aaron, guess first.
Sorry. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, I was just thinking. Sorry, I was thinking.
He's excited. He's excited.
I was like, triggered something in my head. I'm like,
he's in the navigator's chair. He's ready to go, bro.
I was like, sorry.
But now the other Aaron. Sorry.
Shit.
No fault of your own. You bought an AI cover.
I would definitely speak to the artist and say, "What the fuck? Give me my money back."
So wait, is this like a warning that anytime now we commission an artist, we should totally say this better not be fucking AI before we even get to the work?
Well, I know there's
because now they might just sneak it past us.
Well, even there's a AI detecting software you can use to upload a picture, and it'll tell you if it's 95%, 98% AI.
It grades it like a comic.
Yeah, it grades it in certain categories. So because Travis, he posted something because he was looking for an artist, and an artist sent him something in a post, and he put a screenshot of it's 98% AI generated. So it's like, get off my feed.
Oh wow!
I mean, if it gets through that and it's out there, is it printed or is it going to be printed? There's a big difference. If it's printed and it's out in the public,
you're right there in the middle ground, brother.
Yeah,
you sent the books to print.
Yeah, I'd probably still send it because obviously the backers are waiting for it. Okay. I'll send them to the backers, but I'll probably say if you want a different cover, we try and kind of work around and getting a different cover for them, because you already spent the money on the prints. So I would probably still use it, still send it to the backers, but I'd given them option of, maybe the next campaign, give them a different cover as a kind of a go-between.
Well, Aaron, let me ask you this. Let me throw this on top of there just to really mess it up. So let's say you spend. No. I'm going to add to your question. I'm going to add to your question. So let's say you got the cover, and let's say you paid for the cover, and that cover made 20x what you paid for it. How would you feel about it then?
All right, hold on. I got the answer for this. I think. All right. So at this point, what I would do if you made, even say you made double, all right. So what you would do is you'd fucking take that money and hire a real artist, tell that other guy to go fuck himself, and just do it right, and not even put that other cover out.
I like that.
Because you wouldn't have to worry about getting your money back. Because the main thing would be getting your money back. Wow. The second thing would be not fucking over your backers, like you said,
and never use that artist again.
And also putting that motherfucker's name out there for fucking with you.
Yeah. Well, and also I would warn to deliver whatever you promise the public, because
that's the hook on there.
Well, my question
You've already
is,
solicited the piece.
Right. Is it already sold? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I mean, you're fucked at that point. I don't know. That's tricky.
Yeah.
Why has this happened to you, Jay?
I'll still send it to the backers, but if they come back, even if they just get issue 2, I'd still give them issue 1 again with the new cover.
Okay.
Because you kind of.
But it's like once you know it's AI and you put your name on it, it almost like tarnishes your name. So it's like, even though the backers pay, I would just refund the whole Kickstarter before I'd send it out with AI. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay,
that's fair.
I don't mean to cut off Herron or nothing, but I'm just like, to me, I'm like, I couldn't send out an AI cover with my name on it. I would never do that. Not if I knew about it. Like, if you don't know about it, that's one thing. These guys fucking treat it. But like you said, Aaron, you can check everything. So that's, but I mean, man.
But how good is that software? I've never used it.
That's the thing. I'm never gonna use it. I'll tell you what right now. I better be real about it. I'm not gonna use it. But like Jay said, like, if you already got the backers on, but I would just straight up cancel the whole thing and just apologize and say the guy AI fucked me and that's his fault, and we'll do it again. Because I'm good enough to run a Kickstarter and get it right the next time. A cover's not enough for me to fuck myself and my people. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also a good chance if the artist is really good and well known that you get a false positive on that too.
That's another thing. Like, yeah, they're stealing,
and that's what you really have to watch for. Yeah. The majority of your backers probably bought that variant cover just to get that artist. And what I would do if it came across my desk after everything was already printed, the campaign was done, everything looked great, I'd go back out and tell everybody that somebody's run this through AI software and it's come out really hard, but you've already printed books. You've already got customers that are looking for that artist cover. They're looking for that cover, that you're going to send that cover out. And that if you don't want that cover because you're against anybody that uses AI, that you'll print another cover for them and send them that product. But in the meantime, I would make sure everybody knew that cover would never go back for a reprinting, that the AI cover was an accident. It was a mistake on your part, mea culpa just a little bit, and don't offer anybody's money back.
Yeah, well, it's like crazy
because I guess I'm greedy. But I would definitely send that book out and then offer a secondary cover.
But like you said, all right. So if it's already printed, then you're kind of
stuck.
That's the step where it's like, if you're a scumbag, kind of, if you throw it out, because that's kind of like wasting all that paper anyway. So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't at that point. So you might as well send that shit.
Jeff, never pulp anything. Jeff, never pulp anything. Okay?
I think they already had that happen in the market, and that's the way that person handled it. And I seem to remember that being a real good thing, saying, "Hey, we're sorry, we ran this through software. It looks like this guy's doing AI, but we know that most of you bought this because you wanted that guy's cover. So we're going to ship the books out unless you tell us otherwise. If you tell us otherwise, we'll send you another one with a different cover that we know for sure."
But then if the collectors have those comics, it might be worth a bit.
That's the hook. Limited. You're inadvertently creating a collectible.
You leave it up to them.
Yeah. Which, by proxy ends up making it a desirable piece.
My thing is, my bad. Go ahead. Whoever had to go.
No, like the rocket firing Boba Fett figure that they changed it, and all the original ones I shot the rocket are all sought after, like something like that.
Mhm.
Something like that. Okay.
But see, to me, like as the creator or as the self-publisher or whatever you want to call it, like I'm not doing anything for the secondary market. I'm doing it for the motherfuckers that come to me. You know what I mean? So
Right.
the collectors and the collectibles and all that bullshit, like say, like even this like little piece here that was originally made for me and all that, like that has nothing to do with me. Like that's all like when I die or someone gets it off my body or something like that. But like as far as like getting the actual fulfillment right, you always got to put that ahead of any collectible pricing or any kind of some scalping you can do on your own product, which is bullshit anyway. Like to me as a toy collector and stuff like that, like I hate motherfuckers that go and buy something just to sell it. So if you created it and then you rose the price on them, like that's greed. That's the greed we're talking about right there. So I don't know. I wouldn't fuck with that.
Yep. All right, Jorge, what are you thinking about the AI question?
I think personally I'd be chopping heads right now. I really hate the like what has been going on with the use of AI, especially in the graphics and visual part, also in the audio or like music department, because there's like a lot of abuse. It's not even use. It's just straight up abuse of AI in visual media and music media. It takes away a lot of like the human resource part of what creating is. So let's say I'm working with an artist and he provides me with an AI made cover. I'd be just chopping heads. I'd be like posting his name up everywhere. If let's say the book was already printed, I would burn down those copies.
That's I was thinking that in my head. I'm like, would people get mad about that? But I kind of would want to do that.
Yeah.
My thing is, I would rip the covers off of every one of them. Honestly.
Yeah. Maybe pasting another cover that would be time expensive, but I think it would be worth it. So yeah, that's my stance on that.
All right.
Okay, all right, but don't ever let me find out you're doing that AI, man.
I can. Hey,
I'm so worried now. I'm so paranoid after this conversation. I'm like, now everybody's gonna be fucking sneaky.
No, Jorge makes great work. That's why I brought him on. He's a real artist, so he won't. He doesn't mess around with that stuff.
So Morgan, what are your thoughts on the question?
I mean, just kind of on the topic of like AI in general, I just think like it's tasteless and devoid of any kind of craft and whatever other synonym you want to put there. I guess using it as a cover, I don't really know where the lines of legality are on there, especially like when you're kind of putting that out as the product, because I'm currently just trying to figure out how to put my product out there. I've only been doing this for like a year now, so I don't even have a fully formed opinion about like putting out and selling AI artwork, other than I personally find it just distasteful on a human level. Yeah, that's kind of all I got there.
But would you be able to send, like, say not Jorge, but say another artist you worked with did sneak something by you like that? Would you now you're in that position? What would you do? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I kind of trust my tastes in that, like when you can kind of tell, like suss it out, kind of. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that draw every single day and consume art every single day can tell the difference between an AI image and something that was made with a pen stroke or a brush stroke on paper. Like, I'm in the art department every day, and I have friends that are, not to sound, I guess, not to sound elitist, but, they're normies. They're not into art. They don't have the proper education of like how to appreciate art, and, they consume AI imagery, and I'm like, y'all, you know that a person didn't make that, right? Like they can't even tell, like, that made that, and it's kind of interesting. They're like, wait, what? You mean someone didn't do this on their iPad or anything? Like, no, you can tell. Yeah. So I don't know, but I don't know. I think that kind of gets into a whole nother discussion, but
yeah. What's funny is if anyone looks at Dan Panosian's work, right? you know he's not using AI. He shows you the original, and you
But
look at
people
his
are ripping
pieces
them
when
off.
they're fully colored. They look like you were like, oh, that might be AI, but it's not. His
No,
technique is so clean.
AI can actually fake. You know when they have the step by step.
Right? Oh no,
of
yeah, I
the-
know. Well,
AI
no, but
can fake that too.
yeah, but Dan will show you the piece of paper he drew it on.
Yeah,
That's the
but,
difference.
but the thing
Yeah,
is,
and the
it's an
AI
artist,
can't
you
come to
don't-
the paper. I see.
Yeah,
Right,
if-
that's the difference.
Yeah, but if it's an artist you don't know and they send you
Yeah.
step by step of their previous,
That's true. How do
AI
we?
can fake
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Then I mean, you're screwed.
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
I'm never gonna pay someone enough to where I think they should be wasting their time doing all that. I don't think. Like, are you really getting enough money off me that you should be fucking making 4 different videos of each page? Like, I mean,
You'd be surprised, Jeff.
no, you're right. I guess I am
be
surprised. Like now
surprised.
that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, fuck,
Yeah,
man.
right.
Like, I'm working with a new artist now, and I'm like, you know, I'm even showing the other artists I'm working with like those pieces and stuff, and now I'm like, I guess if he did this, I'm like, but it's like it's 99.99% chance it's not that. But now I'm like, oh, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
I'm paying for it. I'm the one whose name's on
actually
it. I'm
AI.
the one, yeah. That's the thing. All you guys are fucking simulations. Like I'm all like, this is all the Matrix. I get it. What you're saying. Like, that's where
Yeah.
we're at.
So Jeff, you got anything else? If not, I'm gonna move on to Aaron.
I'm ready to move on because this shit's depressing.
I'm with you. I'm with you there.
So Aaron, what are your thoughts?
Just thinking, listening to everyone, I've thought so much. I mean, I remember do you remember when and I have no idea. I think Disney. Remember when The Little Mermaid came out in VHS and they fired a guy so he painted a dildo in the background?
Yeah.
Does anyone remember it? I think Disney just quit doing it, but the covers were out there.
Mhm. What do you
And
mean?
so I'm like,
No. It was.
It's
in
like on the
palace.
cover.
Oh, I know. I
Palace
just like,
Yeah.
of the Little Mermaid.
yeah.
One of the towers is very
Mhm.
phallic, but that's
no,
not
I,
just
I
that.
know. I
Yeah.
was saying like they stopped manufacturing them. That's what I meant.
Manufacturer. But somebody screwed him over, and like I mean, that's happened before. I don't. The funny thing is, as I've always wondered, like, what if the cover was AI, but the rest of the comic wasn't? So you're like 10% of the comic is AI. Does that matter? Or could you, in other words, if you put that out there, could you let that pass? I mean, not saying that. It's like if some guy came out and made a mistake, they got it past you and got it out. You say like, wait, only 10% of it. The inside's AI. Would it be worse if you found out the inside of it, all 24 pages, were AI and the cover was not? Like I'm like that, but I'm just doing like
What's the
quantity
trade-off?
here. What's the
How
trade-off?
much?
Right? What's the
Yeah.
quantity? I don't know. I mean, the
Well,
only
'cause,
thing
like-
you do,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I said, the one thing is you could rip off a cover, but ripping out 24 pages, then you got nothing. So that's the quantity.
Well, here's another conundrum. Artists can illustrate an image and then run it through an AI filter that will color it in a different style. So let's say they illustrate something, then they run it through a filter, and it comes out being painted. I don't know. In this, pick an artist. It looks like Jim Lee now or Jay Lee. You know what I mean? So what do you do then? They're like, well, I drew it. I just ran it through a filter.
And then it did something.
I'm gonna just hit up Morgan and be like, "Yo, dog, is this shit colored by an AI or not?" Like, I can't.
Well, these are the same conversations
I
you
got
kind of had when Photoshop.
I don't mean to sound like it's like a superpower, but it's like I don't know. Like I've developed, tastes to where like I can tell when something's fake.
No,
and I
you
think
definitely
Jorge probably has too, because he spends a lot of time with traditional media and even digital media. But
because even in my own mind, like I feel like I'm good at it or whatever, but it's like, like I say, I'm on a Reddit and like they post like a shitty AI thing, like you can kind of spot it a second. But I don't know, I've never used any AI program of any kind, so I don't know if there's like a good kind out there that, like you said, like maybe they take all of my art from one comic, put it in there, and it comes out a little bit like Danielle's or something. So it's like that kind of thing. But I think I've seen everything I need to see so far to know it right now. But I still don't know that the next thing hasn't gotten out there yet. That's kind of what I'm worried about.
Yeah, these are kind of like the arguments when Photoshop and stuff, digital art came out, and a lot of artists were like, you had the computers giving you shortcuts. So this is the ultimate shortcut because there's literally no, you don't have to have any artistic skills to pull it off. You had to have some artistic skills to use old Photoshop. I say
easy,
old because new Photoshop has a lot of stuff that you can just bypass right away. Because like you could do photo bashing to make paintings and stuff. A lot of concept art was photo bashing, just cutting out photos and putting them together. So still there was work involved in it. I think the thing that bothers people with AI is the way it's set up. There's not really much work involved. maybe that there is. I know a few people who've used it, and I've looked at it, and I mean there is trying to get the algorithm, but there's no artistic talent involved. You don't, I mean, unless you don't know English, the prompts or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, you have to tear up the covers. I mean, it's a snafu. I mean, it could happen. I can't really see the public, like, if you apologize and said you didn't know it, I can't see them crucifying you. I mean,
I think most people don't give a fuck other than other creators, honestly.
Right.
I can see that. I agree with that.
That's the one thing you see on Kickstarter. These obviously AI images, and the public is eating it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like everyone's saying, like most people don't even have the. I don't even think they care, first of all, but then they also don't even have the eye for it. So then you mix those two together. By the time they've already read the comic, they're like, whatever.
Yeah. Now here's to answer the question. I mean, if it was myself, I would probably go the route of like, I mean, getting on an airplane and murdering somebody, that's rough. But but seriously, I mean, yeah, I would explain it to, I guess, pretty much what a lot of other people said. Explain it to the crowd that backed the campaign, and then offer them a different cover. I mean, that's the only other thing I can do. But one of the just to add to Jeff's paranoia. So think of it like this: there's some artists that are training AI with their styles. So imagine, or even using other people's styles. A person who can do a layout. And Aaron, here's one for you. Someone could do how to do a layout, simple pencil sketch, layout, boom. And then you say, oh, skin it as Neil Adams. And it comes out looking like Neil Adams, but it's an original layout.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you color it yourself. Into the fuzzy. Is it AI? Right?
Yeah, and then if you color it yourself,
you put the finish. Is that the equivalent of light boxing?
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think making panels or artwork is if you say make it in the likeness of, and you didn't pay someone to make it in the likeness of, that's using AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, right, but let's say somebody came up with a contract with the estate of Neil Adams, and you're paying for a subscription. It's a $20 plug-in a month.
That's different. You're paying for it.
Right, you're paying for it.
But
that's why
now the waters are getting murkier.
Right, the waters are getting murkier.
Right, because let me throw a parallel for a second. Okay, are you gonna go see another Star Wars movie that has new Darth Vader dialogue when you know James Earl Jones is dead, but his voice has already been accepted and it's in the books and the legalities have all been dotted and crossed?
That's legal.
That's
definitely
but it wasn't him. It wasn't him.
It wasn't him that signed the contract. Wait. Was it him that signed the contracts?
Oh yeah.
Or was it AI that signed the contract?
No, he signed it. Yeah. What if it's his estate that signed the contract? He did.
That's different. To me, that's different.
Let's say it was later on. Okay. So what about the people?
Because that becomes the greed thing again. Like in this case, I think James Earl Jones doing it for posterity purposes.
Right, but would
he's
you
not
watch
doing
it?
it at a greed.
Would you watch it? Would your moral?
I'm already kind of sick of Star Wars, so I'm probably not the audience for this.
Right,
question.
but the general audience,
I would not is the answer. Yeah.
Right. The general audience wouldn't know. They're like, oh.
No, they wouldn't care. Like, we already know the general audience does not give a fuck. We already know that.
Right.
Even they don't even care about the pollution that it causes or the energy it wastes. They don't care about the jobs it takes away. They don't give a fuck about any of
what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we care about. But the audience doesn't give a fuck, man.
So
even the people listening to this, they don't give a fuck either. Like we've talked about this so much now.
You said you were in the toy community, right? You're a big collector.
Yeah, I'm a big collector, but I like to buy
a lot of toys out there are using AI generated work.
Even video games, man.
Right? Yeah, but then there are the people who feed the engine with their own product, their own work. I know a certain cartoon was done, right, where the artwork was in their style, but the actors acted out the moves themselves, right? And then the AI algorithm, whatever, followed their.
So they motion capped it, but then they also used AI on top of that. You're saying?
Well, they didn't really wear the mocap suits; they acted it out. Right, they acted it out,
like just in front of like a camera or something, or like
yeah. So I know that was done, and then whether we like it or not,
Because
we
my main
all
thing
used
is
AI at one point. Whether you understand it or not, remember when it was still in its infancy, and we put in we'll make their mouths smooth, right?
I never did that.
On like a Captain America image. Shit,
I
I
never
saw
did
Larry Hama do it with his own
I
Wolverine.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Years before, the prompts were coming out, you
Uh-huh.
would put an image in a certain filter, and
Mhm.
it would either turn or they would move their lips, right, in sync with what you were saying. That was still AI. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that stuff is out there. And as we go further and further down the road, the
You're
lines
just
will
gonna be
get
more
murky.
and more. Yeah,
Now,
like even
when it
Google, like
comes
every
to
time you Google something,
right,
it AIs it. Like
right. Well,
I
when
think
it comes to you getting burnt on work, well, I don't know about you guys. I'm not rich, right? But if I'm dropping 800 plus on a cover and I get burnt, fuck, right? I'm pissed. I'm
I'm not
pissed,
gonna be able to sue the guy. I'll tell you that.
right? Now, I'm also not as well informed on how to break down those images, right? Because somebody could be putting a layer on top of the AI image and putting out a sketch and sending it to me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
right?
I would have no idea.
I would have no idea. But if I get burnt, yes, definite murky area. If I get burnt, I got to use it somehow. So I've already solicited it. People paid for it because they want that. I got to give that to them. Can I say, all right, in addition to, as a way to say mea culpa, or as a way to try to balance the scales? Of course. I feel the community understands that, right? Can tell the difference between somebody who's genuine and someone who's greedy.
Right. That's where the greed comes back in.
Right. That's where the greed comes back.
I like it.
Right.
But I was gonna say, JD, what's the other show you do? The other podcast that I was on the one time. It's like you and like a guy named Rob, I think. Yeah, I think so. So we're on there talking about it one time, and they basically the whole conversation boiled down to like, no matter what, this shit's here, this shit's not stopping, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And it's like that is the reality of it. It's like, as much as like you want to fight it or you don't want it touching your work, that's cool and all, but like you said, like there is no escape from it at this point. Like maybe eventually we'll fuck off, who knows, but it doesn't seem like it right now. That's all I know.
I mean, you never know, Jeff. We could all be AI talking to you right now.
That's what I already this is the second time
He's like, yeah, man.
I already fuck yeah, you guys are cold-blooded. Yep. I gotta take the headphones off now. I'm out.
All right, gentlemen. I think we got some with some boy monsters to deal with. You want me to play this video, Morgan?
Yes, please. Yeah, go for it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Morgan D. Herron. I'm the creator and cartoonist behind Frankie Boy Monster. We are launching issue 4 now on Kickstarter. So Frankie Boy Monster is about a 12-year-old monster boy and his mad scientist dad. They go on missing missions and they fight the real monsters. This stems from my real-life experience of being raised by a single mother. Issue 4 goes into the origins of Frankie's friend Drake, and this issue is my love letter to all things vampires. Also in the campaign, we have amazing pinups by artists I admire, like Jim Moss's, Kevin Catalan, and Mizimo. They're all great cartoonists that I've come to admire, and I get to talk to on the convention circuit. For this issue, I decided it would be best for Jorge Pena to draw the story. I've been an admirer of Jorge's work for the past year now, and I knew that he was the only one that could draw an amazing and psychedelic vampire story that I had in my mind, but knew I couldn't draw.
Oh damn, Jorge made the song too. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So Morgan, walk us through this. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so you're looking at my campaign for Frankie Boy Monster issue 4, which has my first full-length collaboration with another artist, which is done by Jorge. Here's a couple of the panels. A lot of our tiers include, let's see, sorry. There's a couple tiers where you can get the book, you can get a digital copy. There's also another tier where you can commission me to draw a piece of original artwork. There's also tiers where you can get posters by the artists that I mentioned, but also there's separate add-ons just in case. There's different ways you can kind of customize whatever you pledge. And another tier that I have is called Join the Mob, where while Jorge was working on issue 4, I was working on issue 5, and I'll have one short story to draw for issue 5. So if you back the Join the Mob tier for $100, I will draw you as a villager chasing after my character Frankie in issue 5, which will be published after 4. So, and here's the previous 3 issues, which are add-ons to the Kickstarter, or there's a tier where you can get all 4 issues as a handy bundle. So the reason why I want to use Kickstarter for issue 4 specifically was, 1, to pay Jorge for his work, but also to bring awareness and get the word out on my comic book series, and to kind of see and to kind of explore Kickstarter's model of getting me direct with my patronage that I have so far, but also create new fans along the way. So, and also showcase Jorge's work as well, because I didn't want this to just benefit me. Jorge and I collaborated together, so I wanted this to benefit him as well. So, yeah.
Cool. So this is how many? Is it a limited series, or is it just an ongoing that you're doing separate stories on?
It's currently an ongoing. I have plans for up to issue 6, which once I get to issue 6, that'll be the first volume, and then I'll be planning the other stories kind of going forward. But yeah, it's ongoing pretty much.
All right.
Very much. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
artwork is pretty cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I mean, at what point? I mean, you said you're in college now. So I mean, at what point did you decide to do your own book? Was this before college? Is this like start of a school project?
Yeah. So issue 1 I did when I was 18. I did it this summer. I was gearing up for my freshman year of college, so I drew all 24 pages kind of up front for my publisher, Eli, who's the head over Cosmic Lion Productions. And he messaged me on the day that I drew the last page. And I went over the contract and everything a couple of weeks after he offered me a slot to publish Frankie issue 1. And I had someone read over it. We thought it was a great deal. We took it, and we've been publishing the series ever since. Yeah, and it's been a full year now. So yeah,
Nice.
You know, I'm a little jealous of Morgan right now. Randy, were you this well-rounded when you were his age? Because I know I wasn't.
No.
Way to be. Buddy.
At 20, no, not at all.
No. I just had to eat a lot to be that well-rounded.
There we are. That's right.
Just age, you know,
Mhm.
slow the metabolism down.
Yeah, you stole my joke.
You're welcome.
No, because I mean, you know, Jay is not well-rounded now.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jay, you're not even well-rounded at the moment, let alone.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah. But that's why, like, it's the pizza thing, you know.
It's the pizza. All right.
All right.
I like your stuff. I love the color choices on that.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people describe my art style as Mike Mignola meets Jim Mahfood or meets Cartoon Network graphics, which all 3 of those things are definitely influences on me. I like graphic, bold, and poppy artwork, and that's also why I selected Jorge to draw this issue, because he and I have some similar tastes. I mean, you know, Jorge has his own thing going on, but we have some similar interests and stuff like that. So.
So is each story kind of a self-contained story?
Yeah, well, I'm still kind of building up to the main storyline that I want to get to, but you can read issue 4 without having read the previous issues, but you know, it'll be a richer experience if you do read all of it. But yeah, so I've gotten some good
I like
feedback.
that one. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was by Mizimo, Christian J. Mizi. He's a really great guy. You should check out his Instagram for sure.
Yeah, sweet.
You said you go through Cosmic Lion Productions?
Yeah, Cosmic Lion Productions. You can go to the Cosmic Lion website and check everything.
Oh yeah, I know. The guy who does Feral Star?
Yeah.
You guys, I used to go to high school with him.
Oh wow.
I was friends with him in high school. So I grew up with that guy.
Small world. That's great.
Wow. That's cool.
Oh, cool. Well, you got 48 backers. You're 2,500. You got a little work to do, but you got 10 days, and I think you should be able to make it.
Yeah. Eli's very confident that it's gonna fun. So
Yeah. All right, cool. Very nice, very nice. So go check that out.
please.
Don't mind me. Hold on.
Sure. And Jorge, did you want to say anything about it? I know I did a lot.
Not really.
Right to the point, baby. I love it. I love it. Jorge.
I did my part. I drew it.
I know.
Yeah, that's it. Like if you guys have any questions for me, perfect. If not, that's perfect too. I really only thing I'd like to add is like please support Morgan's work. He's amazing at what he does, and yeah, that'll be it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Now we're going back to the cold again. Here we go. Ice and bone. So, Aaron, do you want me to play this video?
Sure.
Okay. All right, very nice.
Short and sweet.
All right, so Aaron, walk us through it.
So, Ice and Bone is the sequel series to Blood and Fire, which started following Nakaki, who is a very honorable samurai. He follows his master to a meeting where they're betrayed by the master's younger brother. All hell breaks loose. They all get massacred, and Nakaki basically cuts through various bodies to get his revenge. And then Ice and Bone follows about 6 months-ish, several months after Blood and Fire finishes. So it follows the story. It's a 4-issue series.
All
So
right,
if you like samurai with a bit of horror added into it, this is definitely up your alley.
That is a badass cover right there.
Yeah, that's actually the Ezekiel who actually does the internals. He did that one. That's the trade cover. Well, retail cover.
Nice, nice.
That is badass, man.
Mm-hmm. So you're going through Red 5?
Yes. Yep.
All right, cool.
The Blood and Fire is in the stores. They've run out of issue 1 printing.
Congratulations.
So this at the moment is the only place you can get printed copies.
Nice. Cool. So you said it's going to be a 4-issue limited series?
Yes. Yeah. This completes the storyline. It was original. Blood and Fire was supposed to be original one-off storyline complete, but I couldn't let it go. So I wrote the sequel, and so yeah, this is for issue 2. So halfway through the series.
All right, cool. Now, what type of schedule are you looking to keep?
I'm hoping this will be done June, because I'm wanting to do 3 in August.
Okay, cool.
But I'm actually contemplating doing 3 and 4 together.
Mm-hmm.
I've not decided. It's up in the air because cost of shipping is quite high at the moment. I'm thinking like if backers, I'm gonna when this is funds, fingers crossed. I'm not going to count anything. I'm pretty much going to ask everyone: would you prefer to just do 3 on its own, or would you want to do 3 and 4, complete the series? And so, but obviously, you're going to have to pay the $30 for 2 issues. but you'd save on the shipping. So you'd only pay the $8 for ship, rather than twice, over 2 campaigns.
Gotcha. All right.
So
cool.
I'm leaving this decision in the back of his hands.
Right. So what inspired you to write this story?
Ezekiel, really, the artist, because he did my Enenra series, currently ongoing, and he posted a kick-ass samurai artwork on his Instagram. I commented on it, said I loved it. It'd make a kick-ass, character in a story. And he said, "Oh, go write it." So I will. So I kind of started thinking of ideas. The revenge is always the nice and easy kind of storyline to get your teeth into. And I always put my horror spin on things, so it kind of fit in really well. It wrote itself, really. As soon as I got the ideas, the characters just did the work for me.
All right, cool.
And Ezekiel is amazing with his artwork. I mean, it's can't fault it.
Nice.
And he doesn't do any sketches anymore. He gave me the whole of the Ice and Bone book completed, and I think I changed one panel in 28 pages.
Nice, good.
Yeah.
So, are you a fan of samurai films?
Anime mainly. The Last Samurai I liked. If you like Tom Cruise, I do. So I like that film.
Yeah, it was cool.
But I liked obviously Samurai Champloo, Afro Samurai, Sword of the Stranger. That kind of fast action kind of storyline is pretty much like. So.
Okay. Have you ever watched Lone Wolf and Cub?
I haven't. No.
All right. You might want to check that one out.
Yeah, okay. or Fortress on Max.
Yeah, Fortress is another good one. That's yeah.
Okay.
I like that Blue-Eyed Samurai. That's pretty good so far.
That was pretty good too. Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah. That's one I watched recently. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, you're already funded.
Yeah.
That's
it was happening
today. 10 days ago. So you're good. You had 113 backers. So you're all right. I think you did do well. So very nice.
I've got these little things behind me. This can you get these little bad boys?
Yeah, that's awesome.
3D printed. About 6 inches tall.
Dang.
All right, cool. Very nice. All right. So, all right. This one's hard. This listen, I can't even, here you go. Public defender. Very nice. So, Jeff.
Let me sit up here for a second.
Sit up for a second. You got no video, so we're going to make it easy.
Yeah, last time we did the video, and my shit ain't as good as everyone else's, so I'm like, I gotta just cut the fucking videos out. No one watches it on my, like when I look at the dashboards and stuff, no one ever watches my damn videos anyway, so.
All right. So I see a lot of dead heroes. What's going on?
Oh yeah, those guys got beat up, I guess. Now that's all like a fantasy kind of thing, just kind of like to catch the eye of people, because the public defender is essentially just a regular dude who got bit by a radioactive lawyer, and so he's dealing with the side effects of that. The lawyer's name was Hyman Spiderman. He's just randomly coming out of a courthouse, and it was bad timing, that kind of thing. You'll see that in the comic. Right here, you'll see this is done by my guy Jeff Folsham, who did The Elf with No Name. He does all the art with that. He did this comic, and he's also the one that's going to do the origin comic that's in there. So so far we got 16 different artists that are all working on it. It's about 16 stories altogether. Some of them are 1 page, some of them are 2 pages, there's a couple 3-pagers, stuff like that. Just a bunch of like satire, like spoof kind of like superhero stuff. Like this is a guy named Bat Pig. It's his landlord. And like he's just over there trying to beat him up for playing music too loud and stuff like that. And then it becomes a whole thing where he says he's going to call the radioactive lawyer and sue him. And it all turns into a whole different thing. And then there's also like stuff that's based on just like my life and shit like that. So like it's somewhat like American Splendor meets The Tick. That's how I like kind of pitch it. So yeah.
You have problems with radioactive lawyers?
I can't go into that. NDAs and whatnot. But right here, like this is just like an idea I've always had, where it's like if you die, it would be kind of cool to like get all your stats at the end, like, oh, how many 3-pointers did I make? How many times did I eat this? How many times did I sleep 8 hours? Just everything. I'd love to see all my stats because I like to play video games and shit. So like when I die, it would be nice and just how much time did I waste playing video games? I'd like to know that. So that comic's just kind of based on that. And then this guy, his neighbor's name is Godman, which is kind of like a joke on Superman. And he's supposed to kind of look like Aaron Judge. That's kind of why he looks like, got the puffy hair and shit. But basically he kills him to show him he has godlike powers and stuff like that. Then he brings him back to life and he goes to limbo and stuff. It's just like random shit like that. Like what happens when you live around
Jeff,
superheroes.
using sports references in this group is really hard, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's like the very first Public Defender comic I ever wrote, right? I just got back from the Eastern Conference Finals in June, or I guess it was the end of May. And I was taking a shower and I knew what was going to happen. Like the coach was going to fuck up, whatever. Blah. So I wrote the whole comic about like being a fan and being a hypocrite of a fan and being like, I don't care, what other sports fans have to say and shit like that. But then at the end, I'm like, I'm the one bitching at the TV and shit. So it's just like, man, I'm just another hypocrite, So that's the very first Public Defender comic and someone drew it for me. And then I just was off to the races after that, actually. So sports is actually a big influence on Public Defender, but there's not a ton of sports references. Like this one right here is about like nowadays when I try to play video games with my friends, they're all too busy to play video games, shit like that, This one guy's homeless. Yeah, I mean, that sucks. So yeah, it's just a bunch of random comics I put together to see, because I was just trying to come up with something to do, while I was waiting for Danielle to finish Magic Powder 6, essentially. So this is what happened. Like this one right here is about how like when you get shirts that come with like silk tags, like some about them, like I have this problem where I just play with it all the time, like since like school when I was growing up. And it kind of like fucks up with my hands and stuff like that. So now I have to rip the tags off. So I made a whole samurai Wu-Tang reference about it. And that's his weakness. Like the Public Defender's weakness is silk tags instead of kryptonite. So yeah, and this is right here. This is my favorite idea I had. So the back cover is like anyone who's just kind of in the mood to throw up the middle fingers with me. You know what I mean? We get everybody in here and just it's like 40 spots open. Like right now I think there's like 16 spots left. But yeah, so it'll be cool. And my buddy Jeff, who does the Alpha No Name, he's gonna draw everybody in. So right there, the Public Defender kind of looks like Eddie Kingston too, which I like. So these are some sketch cards I drew. 3 of them are sold already. 4 of them haven't sold yet. So if you guys just want to like, they're add-ons, like in case anyone that backs it wants just to throw an extra couple bucks on there. And then there's also an option to get me to draw like a whatever you want as a sketch card. So, but I'm not the greatest artist as you can see. I'm just the writer. So deal with that, And then these are just the stretch goals. Like this is my corner box. I got my man Flops to do. He's one of my favorite artists to work with. He usually does my covers and stuff. So this time I got him to do the corner box for this cover. And so if we hit like 5,200 as a stretch goal, I'll make that a free sticker that all the physical backers will get. The next stretch goal is 6,400, and that'll add 4 more story pages. So there's a couple different things I am working on that could be the stories, but until it gets to like close to funding, I'm not going to reveal what those are. And then I forget what the last one is. I think it's trading cards, but I've never hit over 7,000 before. So like that's if we break our record. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so far we're doing pretty good, I feel like.
Yeah, and it looks awesome. It's funny. It looks funny as fuck.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of jokes. Like when you read it, there's like way more like inside jokes, Easter eggs, shit like I see. Like before high school, that one right there, that's done by Adrian Koleric. So he did 4 different stories, and it's all like kind of based on like a Richard Linklater like movie series called like Before Sunset, Before Sunrise, all those movies. So it's basically about like this girl I dated throughout life and shit like that, and all the stupid shit we got into. And so this one took place right before high school in 2000. But the Public Defender looks like a fully grown man because one of the side effects of being bitten by a radioactive lawyer is your memories just kind of age with you. So he's fucked up like that. So all of his flashbacks, he just looks kind of like he looks, So that's kind of why that in 2000 and in 2022, because there's another one I posted the other day, and it's like at the New Year's Eve 2021 or whatever, 2020, I watched the movie Tenet and I fucking hated it. And then that blew up. Everyone's like, oh, I hated it too. And then some people were like, I loved it. All I said was it's the biggest piece of shit I ever seen. That's what the Public Defender said anyway. But yeah, so I posted that panel the other day. So that blew up. But yeah, Adrian's work is dope. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like Trakovi. He did a couple other things. The Babysitter, I think it's called, or The Sitter. But yeah, he's out of Canada. He's just a dope ass artist. And I got lucky to, he agreed to work with me on this. I was excited. And like I said, the cover, this is just a bunch of like superheroes I like and stuff like that. And I felt like, when I do a convention, like no one's going to give a fuck about like a random comedy comic. But when they see those superheroes, they're going to be like, what's this? And then I can get them, So that's the main reason. So it's got the Tick on there. It's got like Thanos, Savage Dragon, The Thing, Juggernaut, Hulk, Iron Man. I think Madman's back there, Silver Surfer, Captain America's shield. You got Wolverine's shadow. I think Batman's around here somewhere. Carnage, Daredevil, Thor, Joker, and Miss Marvel on the top, I think. So yeah, it's just cool. Gerald did all the art for that. This guy Gerald von Stoddard, and then this guy Guillermo, Lindbergh Mendez, he did the colors. It's one of Gerald's guys, so he hooked us up and came out pretty cool. And then my sister did the logo, and then the corner boxes art is done by Flops. So it's just like so that's 4 artists on one cover. I've never had that many people work on one cover. I just wanted to work with every single person I could on this, so that's kind of why it's a lot going on.
All right, cool. Looks good, man. Looks good.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. We got over 150 today. I'm excited. I was aiming for like 200, so I think we're gonna make it. I think we have about like right now 191, I think last time I checked, and we've only had like 70 something backers out of that. So, hopefully that'll come through. But I'm hoping we'll fun.
I think so. You got 5 more days, but I think those last couple of days are probably gonna cover you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm not really too sweating it. I mean, if I don't fun, what are you gonna do? But track record says I should be all right.
Yeah, I think you're gonna do fine. All right, cool.
Agreed. Yeah, I'll just sell my soul or something. I have to. No worries.
Sell a kidney on the black market.
Yeah, I got my like Squid Game pops right here. I'll just go sell my body and just see what happens.
You could do that. You're younger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm loose. I can beat these old motherfuckers. Let's go. And the young kids, they ain't got nothing to be there for, so I'm good. Yeah, let's go.
Nice. My little store. My comics and issue 3 of Knocked, or the 3rd story, will be in there, hopefully sooner than later. So Knocked, the short for Nocturnal. I like Halloween. I like barbarians. So he's a Frankenstein barbarian in a Halloween themed land, and those are the insides. And so each issue is a complete story. You don't need to read. There's a kind of a through stuff, like you learn there's another name for him you learn in a story, but you can read any story in any order. In fact, I don't number them, so I'm trying to encourage people to pick up any one and not just one. But yeah, so I like Usagi Yojimbo and those type of stories, so I wanted to write like just an ongoing series about a warrior or something, so I picked the barbarian Frankenstein character, I guess. I don't know, I thought he was fun. There's humor in it and stuff. It's anybody can read it. It's not overly gory or anything like that. So yeah, and I just sell my stuff through my store. No Kickstarter. When I'm done, I post it up. Only print about 25 issues. So, and then there's some prints and stuff. These are prints, 11x17 prints. The original idea was I was just going to make prints of this character, and each print was going to tell like a scene or an event in his life. So if you looked at all the prints, you kind of see a chronicle of his life. But then I started writing stuff. This print, those are the characters in the 4th story. He faces one of his more nemesis, which is called the Headless. And the Headless just thinks everyone looks ugly. So his goal is to basically crush pumpkins in everyone's head and turn them into these, because then they look pretty. He grows his army, but they look better. That's the point. And so he has his chain comes out of his, because I thought the Ghost Rider looked cool with the chain, but I'm like, why doesn't he have a hook at the end of his chain? And so I just well, I'm gonna do that myself. So I put that. So the hook in his chain will actually come. Most stories will come out, and he can use that as well. So yeah. And then Gollings that's my big omnibus that I finished. Has it been 2 years now? And so that's a 300-page tome. That's all done. So you can buy individual issues, or you can buy the big book itself. So yeah. So I have some kids books I hope to get printed again. I had 2 kids books I published. I have to get on there. Those are the covers. The only thing is the covers are not in the the novel, the omnibus. They're only in the individual issues. So if you like the covers, you buy the issues. If you don't care about the covers, you just buy the book. So yeah.
Gotcha. I saw you pulled the 2 kids books.
I did. I only have like 1 or 2 copies left. I don't have any. I'm out of stock, so I'm trying to raise money to reprint them, and then when I reprint them, I'm going to put them back in my store. Yeah, I had to pull them because it's like if somebody bought them, like I can't give them anything,
right?
Which was kind of a bummer to me because my kids' books are some of my favorites. So I'm working towards saving up some money to get those printed. One is named Roscoe. He's an alien wildlife photographer. He goes to another planet, photographs alien wildlife.
Okay.
And the other one is Miranda, who's a Fantasyland tour guide, and she takes a family on a tour of a Fantasyland. And so they're both like just about my illustration and stuff. Both of them were published by Action Lab until Action Lab did its fiasco. And yeah, so I'm just, and I can't contact them to get any more books from them. They've all went silent, so I just have to raise money to print it myself. Yeah,
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah,
Are you gonna do that through Kickstarter?
No, I'm just gonna raise the money on my own. I just the Kickstarter. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around Kickstarter. I've tried it. This is kind of like a small thing for me, so I just kind of make my own stuff and put it on my store. So I just earn enough money. I'll just print it and put it on my store. Yeah. I've always been that way.
It's incredible. He comes on a show where pretty much all we ever talk about is Kickstarter.
I know. I don't do it.
Wrap his head around it.
Yeah.
You know.
So
you're a dick.
This is true. But anyway, here's my campaign that's currently running: the Oswald Chronicles, Passing Queens and Making Homes 1 through 8. So this particular issue, I've already released it in black and white, but now it's in color. So that's the big deal about it. So that's why I'm re-releasing it. It's a story about Oswald. He's still very, very young. He's just, trying to find himself. He's barely finds a home, but he finds a couple of kids, and these 2 kids are actually nobles, and their homeland is being invaded by some orcs, and he tries to help them out, and he finds out that he's a burgeoning sorcerer. And this is just some of the artwork, and like I said, this is the end of it, because there's issues 1 through 8. This is one complete story if you get all the 8 issues. So, and I'm running a really short campaign. I'm only doing 17 days. I already funded. I got another 2 weeks, and there we go. That's it. Go check it out. All right.
Killing it.
All right. Aaron, you're up.
Yeah.
Your question.
Okay, so I have this weird question I've asked before, and I don't think people quite got it, so I'll ask it again. So I see a lot of people like online and stuff, like what do comics need? And they always say like a good story, like what's going to get people in is a good story. But I always found that such a open-ended concept.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, I mean, what do people mean by a good story? So my question is, what to you makes a good story? And not just like great characters, great thing, but like actual, like, is it good pacing? Is it good dialogue? I love the backgrounds. It really brings me, I mean, are there specifics, especially in comics, that bring you in to make a good story? And then, I mean, if you want, you can say what you don't like, what makes a bad story. But because sometimes people say, write a good story. And I'm like, well, yeah, obviously that's the goal of every writer. No one's setting out like, I'm going to write the biggest piece of shit I can possibly imagine. We don't all want to be Jay.
You'd be surprised.
That's good shit. No, anyway, but that's my question. So it's just, I don't know. It's just trying to get people like specific, like what specifically about that you, when you read a story that you like, because to me, pacing is one, and I actually like lack of dialogue. That's one. Like, I like more the pictures and dialogue to work together. So that always is so.
Cool. Warren Ellis fan. Okay. Randy, how do you feel it? What do you think of the question?
Zim is fine. It comes down to entertainment value. You can have a mixture of text and pictures or whatever. And anybody can do a comic, but not everybody can do a comic. Not everybody can do a great comic. And the great ones for me aren't the ones that are written or drawn the best. They're the ones that are able to grab you and pull you in and not let you go until you get to the end of that book and you go, oh, well, where's the next one? And that it's a combination. And when you're working in like a assembly line or a corporate structure, everybody has to be hitting on all cylinders, because the wrong balloon in the wrong place or the wrong word in the wrong sentence can just throw you out of that story. And then it's really difficult to get back in. For example, there's one Image book out there that I had heard nothing but phenomenal things about. Everybody said, oh, you have to read this book. So I went out and bought a couple of collections and sat down, and the first thing I saw was, oh, all of this art looks traced and badly on Photoshop. And it's a fantasy book. So the way that they made it look like a fantasy book is they added horns and wings. And it's like, oh, marvelous. And and at that point, it was really difficult for me to get into it.
Yeah. But
there are so many other great comics, and I do 2 podcasts a week. One here, always be plugging, right? Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and then Friday morning at 5 a.m. where we look at great sequential art, stuff that we love that we've been lost in, or that from people that we admire, and take a really close look at that. But it takes a skilled craftsman and a lot of skilled craftsmen, if you're working on an assembly line system, to hit on all cylinders and make a product that you can literally lose yourself in, and all the way up until the last page, to the point where you get to that last. TV shows are the same way for me. You get lost into it. You forget what time it is. You're in a world that you've completely escaped from your own, and that to me is a great comic. And the art style can be as realistic or as abstract as it wants to be to fit the work, as long as you can lose yourself in it. But everybody has to know what they're doing. The writer has to know what they're doing. The penciler the inker has to know what they're doing. And the more that you're in this business, the more you get picky about stuff, and you start, you're able to dissect this stuff, and you don't want to, because you're there for the entertainment value. So a lot of times I'll go through and read the book literally, pretty much with a brain check type attitude, just to be entertained by it, and then worry about going through it later and picking it apart, unless the blemishes on it are so obvious that it just pulls me out and I just can't continue it. Does that answer your question?
Oh, no, yeah. No, it's funny because I remember I went to college and learned how to do 3D modeling, and I kind of took away the magic of video games. Like video games, like, wow, they're so amazing. Then I learned how they do. I'm like, oh,
it
okay.
is.
So it kind of like it doesn't destroy it for me. I still enjoy them, but there is like, well, now this kind of lost the magic of it a little bit.
It is so easy for especially in comics that I've found, for it to become a business. Where you're always looking at it as a business, or you're looking at it for the technique or whatever. But you always need to have those books, and I've got a basement full of them, of books that you loved, and you go back to those and you read them every once in a while, just to remind yourself, how great they are, and to try to learn something from them, because all of these guys, especially in gold and silver and almost through Bronze Age, these guys were all workhorses that were hitting deadlines and still doing art. And that's an amazing thing to me, to be able to hold a style consistently, look great, do an entertaining product month after month after month, whole runs of just phenomenal stuff out there that, and a lot of these companies, especially the big corporate companies, don't even want to reprint that stuff anymore, because there's one part or another that's problematic with it. But this is an art form, and I love being entertained by it. Let's say that.
All right, cool. Jorge, what are your thoughts on the question?
First of all, I can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get.
I had some technical issues.
Oh no, that's no problem. No, it was just like basically what to you makes a good comic story a good story, because you hear that a lot. Like if you sell comic books, you should just write a good story. But that's such a huge concept. Like what to you, like do you see in stories that like that's what makes it good? That's like actually get technical about it a little bit, instead of just saying having great characters or great things, but like like the flow of the panels or the art, really the way he does the art or something. Because I think sometimes we use too many broad strokes.
That was
the question.
It depends, because for example, like for me, when I get to watch a movie, for example, or read a book, there may be some aspects of it that I really enjoy and that make it for me a really good piece of media. So it depends. For example, I might like, let's say, Dark Knight Returns with Frank Miller, just for the art and not necessarily his writing, So I think it just depends on certain aspects of the book. To get really technical on it, I'd say overall the plot is really important, and like what you're trying to tell, because as an art form you have to be able to express something and do it right. So let's say you're talking about I don't know, a hero's journey type of story set in the year 2050 something, and it's all about space battles and stuff like that, Star Wars type of stuff. But then you have this really lazy middle spot in the whole arc of the story. I think that might make it not so good. So overall, I think the plot and how it's structured, it's what makes something good, especially in comics, I'd say.
Jorge, just hold that thought for a moment. Aaron has to go. So Aaron, real quick, give us a way you can be found.
At Aaron, at Wroblewski. Aaron is my Instagram. Ice and Bone, Blood and Fire. I have a Facebook page, Facebook group for, as well as Enenra and Amor Patrice.
All right, cool. All right, we'll catch you next time, brother. Take it easy,
guys.
Take care, Aaron.
Bye.
See ya.
All right, sorry about that, Jorge. Continue.
No worries.
Did Aaron just blow me a kiss?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So what I was saying, just like this story, I don't care if it's drawn with sticks, or if it's drawn on Jim Lee's style, or if it's realistic or whatever. Like if you have a really good story and a good plot, and you tell it the right way, I think that's what matters.
All right, cool. Morgan, what are your thoughts?
I think for me, it's just the synergy of words and images together, which, I mean, that's what the medium is in its essence. But I think for me, it's like the medium of comics is an art form greater than the sum of its parts. And I think if you just, every panel should be designed to communicate and express an emotion, but it all kind of comes together to express the story. I think that's why I really love Mike Mignola's work, because his pages are these strong designs on their own as one unit, but they're made of these little bits and bobs that are that interconnect with each other. And when I read a comic, not only do I want it to have a great story, but I like the delivery mechanism of a comic book. And I think it's supposed to, there's supposed to be this feeling of eye flow on a page into the next, even if the story's pretty simple. If I feel like I'm being led through it and I can't put it down, and every panel is designed with intent to lead to the next, I think that's really what makes a great comic book, and that separates the wheat from the chaff, So
yeah,
fair enough. Jeff, you're up, sir.
I mean, to me, from an indie comics perspective, I feel like it comes down to what are you doing differently in your story. When someone tells me they got a Kickstarter comic coming out and all that kind of stuff, and they pitch it to me or whatever you want to call it, they tell me about it. It's what is it? It's is it something I've heard of a million fucking times? Is it something new? Is it a ripoff of something else? What is it? So to me, it's all about, I guess, the pitch, really, because I'm not going to get to the story if your pitch sucks. I don't know. So it's one of those things. If your thing is oh, it's a real personal piece and all this stuff, it's yeah, that's not going to get to me. I don't know. And I probably miss out on some good stuff, but it's I don't have enough time in the day to suss through everybody's shit by reading through it and to see if it is good, So are you taking a genre and doing a twist on it? Are you taking, what I mean? What are you doing that's going to stand out? That's the question. That's what makes a good story to me. To me, when I come up with my stories, it's taking something that's already kind of in the consciousness and then flipping it in some way, or doing it in my own way, in a way that people will laugh at. Even just pitching the radioactive lawyer thing, you guys all crack up at that stupid shit. You know what I mean? Magic Powder, it's I had that pitch going from day one. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's when people come to me with comics, they're oh, it's a superhero comic. And what the fuck else is it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So it's like, I'm always looking for that. So like, to me, most stuff
answer
I see,
after Jeff, right?
huh? Yeah, you get to go next, bro.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So to me, it's just like, I don't know. The story needs to start from the fucking the idea's got to be good before the story can be good, basically. So, what's your idea? If you can't give me 10 seconds of good, you ain't gonna give me 10 pages of good. You ain't gonna give me 100 pages of good. So that's what I'm saying.
That's interesting. No, yeah. I mean, I guess before you get in there, the idea
make me give a fuck. Like,
yeah, because I've seen lots of stuff where even movies and stuff, I still think some of the ideas are cool. The execution didn't work, but the idea is still cool.
It could fall off. Yeah.
With that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You
The
can do
idea is
some
not
stuff with that idea.
But my point is, if you don't even have a good idea, then I can't get to your story. Your story's not good either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The idea has to be the first part, and then I'll get to your story. So like, if you just like, my story is it's a book. Okay. Like, I'm not gonna ever see it. It might be a great story, but like, you have to. How do you relate it to other people in a way that's interesting? I guess is the point. Like, anyone could write maybe amazing shit, but how do you make me want to read it? And that's in the one sentence. You got to have one good sentence to get me to look at it.
That's fair. That's fair. Jay, what are your thoughts?
All right. So,
is just a superhero comic?
Well, yeah,
I thought he was just going to say. I thought he was just going to say titties, and then it's all done.
That too.
Well done with that answer.
Back to that greed.
A good book will make me feel like it's money well spent, right?
Mhm.
An amazing book makes me want to tell other people about that book. A great book will make me want to study that book, right? Two things that I've studied have been the first 12 issues of Invincible, and recently, Do a Powerbomb from Daniel Warren Johnson, right? They're both. One is a superhero story, one is a wrestling story, right? But that's just the window dressing. They're both emotional stories, right? The first one is what happens if you're lied to by your parents, right?
Yeah, daddy.
The other one is what happens when you're lied to by your parents. Okay, and I'm looking at, panel layouts, right? I'm looking at transitions. I'm looking at setup for emotional beats, right? I've got fucking notes on Do a Powerbomb. Like, I've broken it down and how they've set it up. And I'm like, oh my God, right? The average, okay, is this person following the 7-7-7 3-act structure? That's I see that right off the cuff, right? And I don't know how many times it could be a good hook. All right, you've gotten me to the door, but I'm not going to come back after the next issue because it's not a good enough story. I'm not going to bring that up, right? There's the other stuff. It needs to be a great synergy between X, Y, and Z. Of course. But if you're not capturing me, right? If you're not making me say, "Damn!" after I put down this book, I know this is going to sound weird. If any, I don't know if you guys are reading the Transformers book right now from D.
Started reading it, yeah.
Mm-mm.
That's the same guy who did
It's a book about robots, but it's emotionally triggering, and you're like, oh my God. I would have thought that G.I. Joe would have been what grabbed me over the Transformers. G.I. Joe's not doing it for me the same way Transformers is. And we're talking about art, right? We're talking about the way Mignola grabs those pages. I don't know if you've seen the way Corona's taking care of these pages over there on Transformers, but it's like the grittiness, but also the use of space, right? They're getting 8 panels in there per page. He's telling you the story. Not every panel, not every page.
Not every page, yeah. No.
Per not every page is 8 panels, yeah. Right? But he makes sure he gets the work in there. And I'm like, okay. And I'm starting to break that down. I mean,
that's kind of like what Aaron says too, like what he was saying about how like you got to tell the story with more than just the dialogue. Like, you know what I mean? Like the panels are there, but it doesn't need to be all words in all 8 panels either. Like you can do it with just 8 dope ass, physical or like action panels, stuff like that. So it's like, I think that's a big thing.
Not all of the things have to be
There is
on
no.
screen.
There is no. The thing is, though, the rule is to basically break the rules. That's what makes it good. So, like anything that's already been done, that's already been proven to be good, you don't want to do the same thing. So, copying that's not going to do you no good anyway.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes
that's true. I guess that's true. I guess like
sometimes you want to go Hitchcockian and leave certain things out
like
because the readers will fill that in on their own, and what they'll come up with is a hell of a lot more intriguing at times than what you could have thought, and that's going to drive them to come to the next.
That's
book.
true. Like let their imagination but that's the problem with a lot of horror. I feel like in comics is there isn't a lot left to imagination. Like we get it all.
I mean, you're talking about right? Okay, superhero stories isn't your thing. Okay, cool.
I love a lot of superhero stories. I just don't want more.
I'm not trying to tear down your statement, brother. I'm not trying to knock it down, right? But what I want to get at is sometimes people come to me after reading that, after reading Shield of the Interceptor, and they're like, "Oh, I found this, and I saw this, and I picked up the correlation for that." And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about that stuff. But thank you for those things that I should be focusing on as I go forward.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
Sometimes this stuff is subconscious, right? Or sometimes they may have seen something when you've omitted it in either your script or in the illustrations that you're like, oh, thank you. And this is something I'm going to put in my notes for later on down the road.
No, reader feedback is huge, like,
huge.
without a doubt. But to get reader feedback, you got to have readers. So it's like that's another part of it. You know what I mean? So, but like reader feedback is the best thing ever. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. So to answer your question, Aaron, for myself, it's a story that immerses me to a point where I think somebody else said, I think Randy has said it, where you just keep reading it, right? Like one of the books that I would get all the time back in the day, well, probably not that far back, but it was Fables. So I would only buy the trades. I wouldn't buy single issues. I'd only buy trades. And I would get the trade and I would sit back and I would start reading it. And, I would start at midnight and I'm supposed to be asleep by 1.
Start at midnight.
and I'm like up till 2:30, and I'm like at the last page going, damn it, where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, and that's something that's that for me makes it good. Where
Walking Dead had me like that, like comic wise.
Words and the images or the synergy is there. It's being brought together, is pulling you in, and it's carrying you through that story. There's a flow through the whole story. To Jay's point, I one time had a guy read one of my stories and told me that he started at the beginning of his lunch break, started at noon.
Got him fired.
And then his boss comes to him and say, yo, you ever going to come back from your lunch break? Because it was like 2:30.
Nice.
And it was just like one of those things. I had another friend of mine reading one of my stories on the subway, and he cursed me out because he
missed his stuff.
Nice. That's how you do, dude.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like when you can immerse a person in that world, right?
It's a cool feeling, bro.
Right. For me, like I said, Fables did that for me. All-Star Superman does that for me. When I get into really, really reading like Frank Miller's Daredevil stuff, that does that stuff to me. There's a wealth of stories that are just out there. Walter Simonson's Thor. You go back, man. There's so much of it. It's incredible. But
would you say you're mostly like your comics are mostly influenced by other comics, or would you say like it's all kinds of stuff like movies and
No.
It's just comics, or
you got to remember. I mean, comics are important to me. Literature is probably even more important to me. So
because that's what I was gonna say. Like Cormac McCarthy
old,
is
Jeff.
probably more influential.
Jeff, old.
Yeah, I'm old. So I'm talking about
that's
Isaac Asimov.
Right, but it is more than just comics. Like that's the thing, because I feel like a lot of people I meet at like comic conventions and stuff, like all their influences are just modern comic people, and I'm like, that's cool and all, but it's like,
but also depends on age.
Right? No, that some people are my exact age. I'm talking about, like,
right,
which is even crazier to me.
I'm sorry. How old are you?
Ambiguous.
No,
I'm just fucking you guys. I'm 38. Yeah, I was born 88.
No, funny, I'm 39 going on 40.
38.
Yeah, I'll be 39. Yeah, I'm gonna be 39.
Hold on a second. Let me rewind it. Fuck you, Morgan. I wish I was 20 like you. Got head of hair, no
Morgan.
fucking beret, okay? You know,
Starting from
Jorge
the
got
beginning, he's already in the
locks.
game. And
Come
shit.
on.
Yeah, he's like 20
Look
years
at
ahead
Morgan
of me.
doesn't have any toys. I mean, look at all your toys. I mean, there's
I
definitely.
know, that's.
I mean,
He'll trade the toys for the years. I'm sure.
Yeah,
That's
well,
perfect.
I have a comic book collection in my closet, so I got my own toys. They're just not
He's
action
all right.
figures, but whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy to think he's only 20. That's it. You're 20. You're not even 21. Damn, bro.
Yeah,
Like
no,
a bit
I
of
can't
reading.
drink yet,
Like-
and I got I'm about to have my 4th issue
Yeah.
published. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's probably why you got so many comics done, because you weren't able to drink.
I drown my sorrows in comic book
So,
goodness.
let me
yeah.
tell
There you
you,
go.
brother.
Yeah.
Do not meet me at a
80s
Comic
movies are
Con.
dope.
I will get you hammered. Okay, I am.
Yeah, when do you turn
My
21
mom's
before you
old
meet
fucking
Jay?
day,
Jay,
Joe.
bro.
You better chill. My mom's watching.
Hey,
Yo,
Morgan's
wait till
mom,
he's
but
21
yeah.
at least. Jesus.
When do you turn 21?
In November, so it's gonna be a little.
November. Okay, what's your first
Gonna
convention?
get a big old package on the thing.
What's your first
Jay's gonna
convention
send you
after
just a
that?
ton of booze.
Yep. Jay's gonna show up at your doorstep with a you know, what is it?
We gonna
50
hit.
pack or
We
something?
gonna head to Appalachian Comic Con. We gonna have some fun. Out there. Hell yeah, boy!
I'll be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, so I'm gonna go see you there.
Oh, I would have been there. I would have been
Great
there,
con.
buddy. June
Great con.
20th. Very
Radio
nice.
Stories Now. Great title. Great name.
All right, Aaron, ask your old question, bro.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I remember I tried to put that on. One, it's pacing, and I tried to when I write my own stuff. It's slowing things down and letting things sit for a second.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in movie and comics, letting the motion sit. Don't rush. I'm talking. I have a friend who's also a writer, and he's like, "Yeah, I see so many comics when like the guy comes on, and he's all like, yeah, I'm going to destroy the city. Oh yeah, they fight." And there's no rhyme or reason. There's no back. I remember I was reading I read some sci-fi comic, and I gave him to him like, you check this out, and he read it, and he didn't like it. I remember like I think it was Kurt Busiek wrote it, and he's like, it was okay. And I was like, because I didn't think much of it, like, here, you can check it out. And he said, yeah, the problem with a lot of sci-fi and fantasy comics is it's just superheroes are set in fantasy and sci-fi. That American comics can't get out of writing superhero archetypes. And now, and ever since he said that, I've read fantasy and sci-fi stories, and I'm always looking, and I see it way too much, probably even in my own stuff, that I'm trying to get out of it. Like that sort of, they all have superpowers. They all like form a team, and they all got to fight. And like, I'm like, I read this Seven to Eternity, which I like that guy's writing. I remember the first issue, and literally like, it's a fantasy one, and like each like character had a superpower. I'm like, this is superheroes in fantasy.
Right.
No,
So you mean
It's like a good, like, and
that
like
was
whether
a-
it's good or not,
It was a
I saw that
rejected
right away.
pitch. It was a rejected. I'm pretty sure it was a rejected pitch from the X-Men from Marvel.
Probably will make it fantasy.
Seriously though, superheroes are fantasy.
They are fantasy,
That's
but
what-
I mean,
I was thinking that the other day when I was writing a tweet,
go-
and I was gonna write like, "Oh, this is my first non-fantasy comic," and I was like, "Well, superhero is fantasy."
it goes back
Yeah.
to Odyssean, right? Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes.
Whether you want to
The old mythologies. Absolutely.
Everyone
Exactly.
on the ship
Mhm.
didn't have a superpower; they had a skill, right?
well, I'm just saying,
A talent,
the
for the- you know.
well, like the
Well-
archetypes, like a lot of the science fiction in American, it's like there's some evil baddie that like take over the universe. You don't see like a lot of science fiction, like say 2001 in American comics. It's always like there's this evil villains go overtake the universe, and these other, yes, even though their superheroes are fantasy, there are archetypes to these villains where they are the ultimate good and they must defeat the ultimate evil. And so I'm always like, and I keep looking, and I'm like, there's got to be, and I'm the same way. There's been a lot of comics, and this goes with Randy, where he like, you got to read this, and I read so many of these books that people just rave about, and I just didn't. I tried to read Saga twice, and I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
I just could. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's the greatest thing ever, but
Yeah, I love
there's
the
been
bell.
the what?
The little bell. Ming.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ready
That's
to get it a
beautiful.
couple times. Yeah, I heard earlier.
Hey, hold on. This is going to sound like sacrilege, or it used to sound like sacrilege. Not after the last few weeks. But I never vibed with Sandman.
I never could either. I don't know why. A lot of people couldn't. I tried to read that series a few times, and I don't know. I have a hard time reading stories about like, let's take already established like like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Like, let's take like literature and then make our own story. And I'm like, no, that to me, it's like doing twists on old literature. I'm like, I know that's kind of, it's just not my thing. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just like, I'd rather do something completely new.
Yeah, I'm not big on like public domain comics and stuff. Like
yeah,
that.
It doesn't do much for me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I was reading Bone in college.
No, no offense to anybody. I'm just saying, like, I see it and I'm just kind of already like, because I don't know.
No, you know why they're in public.
Have any relation to it.
You know why they're in public domain is because those properties have become tropes and those characters have been literally, part of the public
consciousness. They become a part of
what are you going to do?
History and shit.
Yeah.
Like, no,
I thought it was just to get new horror movies. I mean, it isn't like every public domain character to a new horror movie anymore.
That's how it feels.
That's the thing that I have with horror in general, not just comics, but also movies. The people that create this stuff are the sum of their parts, and unfortunately, they've seen everything that I thought was a retread back when I first saw it.
Right.
So
that's like now with like
a great horror property now has to really grab you and be truly different and horrific in order for it to catch at least my attention or for me to enjoy it. And it's very rare, and it's especially rare in comics because there's so many intricacies to a good horror story that are missed that from people that just think, well, I can write a horror comic, it'll be great, I'll do a lot of shadows and have a couple of jump scares and everything will be fantastic.
Yes, Jeff, you have a question for the class?
Yeah, bro. Like, here's my question, Morgan. What are you reading?
I'll be reading a lot of Edgar Allan Poe for my Gothic literature
like school
class
stuff.
soon.
That's good stuff, man.
Cool.
There you go.
Like, he's 20, so like, what? Okay, so what are you like into, like fictionally and stuff? Like, what is inspiring you? Because like, I know what all of old motherfuckers are big into.
I mean, I'm aspiring to be kind of like a Mike Mignola, where like I'm I guess you could say singular cartoonist who occasionally like does collaborations and stuff like that. Not to like, I don't know, not to hype myself up, but like that's what I'm aspiring to be. Yeah. So I do read a lot of other like singular creators like Mike Mignola, Andrew McLean does Headlopper. I've read some Daniel Warren Johnson. I like definitely his own work better than like, I mean, he does great property work like Beta Ray Bill and Transformers, but I definitely like Murder Falcon the best out of all the stuff I've read.
That was my favorite one. I haven't read Dual Power Bomb, but I've read Murder Falcon. I like that one a lot.
See, I like Dual Power Bomb better than Murder Falcon.
I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah,
so
I
may like it,
too,
but I
haven't
got to it yet.
Yeah, Dual Power Bomb's great, but Murder Falcon does a lot more for me. And also, like, when I read Murder Falcon, like, I had just, like, I made a comic before Frankie that I completely scrapped. In fact, I have the portfolio. It's in my closet right now, and it will never, ever see the light of day. It never should. But, like, I was about to give up on making a comic, and then I read Murder Falcon. And if you know anything about that story, it's about someone who gives up something they love. I'm not going to go into the details because I want someone to enjoy it.
No spoilers.
And then that inspired me to then like stop complaining, and I made Frankie and stuff like that. Or not that I stopped complaining, but like it re-inspired me to get back on the horse and finish a comic, and then I finished the next thing, and then it actually ended up getting published. But yeah, I do read a lot of comics, but I think like right now I kind of need a bit of a comic cleansing, so that's why I'm going to be reading a lot more. I mean, for my literature class, I'll be reading a lot of Gothic fiction and stuff like that. And
I'm sure you guys are going to reach Lovecraft. I know JD Calderon's a huge Lovecraft fan, so I mean, Lovecraft in there with Edgar Allan Poe, is worth it.
Yeah, we actually talked about reading Lovecraft in class, but then, of course, the professor had to bring up how comically racist he was.
Oh, he went into it.
So we're probably not going to read Lovecraft.
You got to understand this stuff in their context, though. But there's such a quality to Lovecraft's work, despite the racism.
Oh,
it's really just superior stuff.
Yeah, I get that, but not everyone in the class. Agrees.
I've been reading a lot of Howard. Been reading a lot of Howard, and there's a lot of stuff in there as well. Burroughs is the same way with Tarzan running around in Africa. But after a while, they really Howard and Burroughs really came around pretty empathically to the prejudices of the time. Let's put it that way.
That's
And-
the thing.
and
I
so
remember they
that
wanted
happens
to
with
make.
a lot of creators. I think maybe not a lot of
Yeah.
creators, but it happens with like you hear like people will bring up like certain people, like even like Johnny Cash just comes to mind with that kind of thing, where it's like he'll have like an old song that's like super racist, and then by the time he got older, he learned not to be a piece of shit, and then people are still bringing up the old shit. You know what I mean? It's like people can grow and learn.
You can't escape it. Yeah,
Well,
I know
that's
they
the whole
wanted to
thing.
make
The
it.
more educated you become, the more empathy.
Yeah, and imagine how hard it was to
empathic
be
you
educated
become.
back.
Yeah.
Nowadays we have all the information right at our fingertips, but we
And
take
the
it for
thing with
granted.
Lovecraft, I'm pretty sure like none of us knew this man, spoke to this man. Nobody live has spoken to him. I think everyone pretty much has passed on. So the thing is in reading, when you really research him and you read him and read enough books about him or whatever, you'll get to realize that he was not well. You know what I mean? There was something not.
Yeah, to come up with that kind of shit, your brain's got to be somewhere else.
No, I mean it's more than that. It's more
most
than
literary geniuses are treading that razor, though.
Why? What do you think it is, JD? What are you saying?
I think he was honestly scared of other races, not racist against other races, but actually scared of other cultures, like physically, like this fear.
It's definitely that fear and insecurity shows up in that.
Xenophobic.
It's a horror.
Yeah, he was very xenophobic. He was raised during a generation where that sort of racism wasn't necessarily openly. It wasn't accepted by everyone.
Just commonplace.
But it was exactly. It was commonplace. And the thing is he was raised by just his mother. His mother was not well.
Another paranoid.
Right, and he was also a very sheltered child. She kept him locked in the house for years. This guy barely left his house. So I mean, he had like some serious issues. That's not to say what he did was correct, but as he got older and he moved out and got to see other parts of the world, he did grow up to see these other things. And a lot of the stuff that he's accredited to him, that's his racist stuff, like this one particular poem that's terrible, but he did that when he was like 18, 19 years old, right? Like, do you want to
be careful, Morgan?
It's all being documented right now. But I mean, seriously though, I don't want to be held for stuff like that I did when I was 18 now.
Sure.
I'm glad I was not on social media like this. And shit like that. There's no podcast of me at 19 talking shit. Like I already talk too much shit now. I can't even imagine. Yeah.
We're making me now second guess every single podcast I've done up to this point.
Just make sure you go back and tell the host to delete the episodes. That's all.
Sure. Yeah. I never understood.
Morgan, I was going to say your art style really reminds me, and I might have the name wrong, of Jason Sala, Sala, who did a indie comic called Poe that was about Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Remember that book? You never see it around anymore, but it was a great book when it was out. Very, very good.
I've not heard of Sala.
You should look that up. It's worth your while.
Yeah. He's teaching now.
Is he? Cool.
Yeah.
So he had a very unique
20 years old. He's already teaching.
Very unique art style to his work. It like I said, Morgan's that one cover on his book really reminded me of that work a lot. So
another artist. I mean, if you like artists, because that's my thing is I like artist writer combos like cartoonists. Stan Sakai, the Usagi Jimbo is like one of the greats.
I have for decades. Beautiful stuff. For years. For sure.
Oh, you do? Yeah, because because I try to hunt stuff out that is done. I did like Invincible. That's it's funny. I even though I poo-poo on superheroes, I thought Invincible did it where they actually started superhero and became more sci-fi. It became more like Dragon Ball Z. It's like American version of Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. Like I read the end of like Invincible. I'm like, this is cool. I like that. I've read that series twice. I almost gave up when he said it was ongoing, but he said it was going to end. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
So Herron, what is a story that you really enjoy?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Alien Legion. I grew up loving that. Ninja Turtles. I was a huge fan of Appleseed. That was, Akira, and that's my huge fan. I liked Wonder Woman later on. Conan, huge Conan
George
fan.
Perez?
Yeah, I liked Perez. It's funny. I loved his art. Sometimes I had a hard time reading it because he would get so much stuff in there, and I'm the kind of guy who has to look at everything. So even though I loved it, I'm like, it's gonna take me fucking ever to get through one of his books. But I love that it just took me forever because I would just slow down.
I never thought about that, like how that affects a reader. But that's
pretty soon. I'm just like, I just want to get past the next page. But no, he was he was great. I mean, I'm going through my shelf. I really like Nocturnals.
But
Dan Burrington's Nocturnals.
yeah, and that's something nobody talks about anymore either. Is Nocturnal.
He still does every once in a great while. He did a Kickstarter and put out a new Nocturnals. He does them every once in a great while. He'll throw something out.
That's why I like going through and reading a book and then not worrying about it, making a point not to get distracted, get entertained, and then go back and start dissecting. I was like that with Giant Size X-Men 1. I just went through and read it and thought it was an incredible story. And then literally my first copy of Giant Size X-Men 1's in shreds because I was going through and looking at panel positions, writing style, the story structure, all of that. If there's books out there that you love, there's a reason why you love them. You need to go back and look, study, and analyze the stuff that really worked. For me, it was like the first 50 Teen Titans with Wolfman and Perez, the Austin Byrne X-Men with Claremont, just the Austin Byrne Claremont X-Men. The Elsewen Byrne stuff that he did online is just, to me, it's just amazing. There's so many great stories, but Simonson for me is Manhunter, Paul Kirk Manhunter.
He's pulling up those dollar books.
Which just fantastic stuff. Those dollar books, those wrapped up dollar books. But there's so many great runs out there. First 50 Defenders. There's entire runs and spots of Avengers that are just so much better than other ones. Fantastic Four's the same way. Depending upon the creative talent.
You mentioned the Claremont Byrne run. Don't sleep on the Claremont Paul Smith run either. Okay.
Well, there's there's just something with Byrne and the artwork that he did, Byrne and Austin especially.
I'm with you.
That was just right place, right time.
Yes, sir.
The Star-Lord book that the three of them did is it's just pure space opera to me, and just really a great piece of work.
I also like the Captain America stuff they did with Baron Blood.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm on the hunt for those. I haven't picked them all up yet.
He's on that.
It's strange enough when I grew up. I grew up out of Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington, and so all my comic stores, since a lot of them are owned by Dark Horse, the superhero stuff is kind of quarantined to one shelf. So and I didn't know this. See, I just thought all comic book stores. And so when I go and I see all tons of Dark Horse stuff, independent, like Alien versus Predator was a huge thing when that comic came out, and so later I kept talking to people about the stuff I'm into, and they would just be like, "What's that?" And I realized so many other comic stores are just Marvel and DC.
Oh yeah,
and that's not what I grew up with. So I got kind of blindsided because I'm like, "Well, everybody's ready, like Alien Legion or whatever," and people are like, "What's Alien?" I'm like, "Really? Like, okay." Like Appleseed, and I was I read a lot of the Dark Horse stuff, like Hellboy and the Next Men, John Byrne's Next Men. I like that. That was the one I got into.
I didn't like
and
you can shut up now.
I did it.
Yeah,
dude.
Nobody cares.
No,
great stuff.
That reminded me of DP7. That's what that was.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that went out with 12 issues.
No.
Right, but like Aaron, right?
That was New Universe too.
And I was picking up. I was picking up the Ron Lim Silver Surfers. I was picking up the Mark Greenwell Captain Americas, right?
Yeah.
And I come here, there was no comic book shops where I was at, right? I was picking them up in bodegas, and 40 years later, I found out that one of the bodegas I would pick up comic books from was owned by Calderon's Pop, right? And right,
that's how you guys meet.
I was picking up a little bit of his taste, but I was picking up the lower tier Marvel stuff, like the Cloak and Dagger, Doctor Strange.
Graphic novel. Yeah.
No, the single issues.
No. Oh, okay.
I think it ran like 16 or 22 issues, right? But they were half.
Oh, they were split.
They were split books. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Right. So I was picking up the common run Marvel stuff, right? I was picking up the back end stuff.
Yeah.
And I was still excited by that, right? I found out characters that weren't known by everybody else who was picking up stuff at the Spinner Rack in Walden Books or the Spinner Racks in B. Dalton's.
Oh yeah, that's how I picked up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually found Appleseed in Walden Books. That blew me away. I'm like, Apple.
And then my best friend's dad was Thai, right? Yet somehow his boss was always getting manga. So I was reading the Kinoko Man. Was that the one that muscle figures were based on?
Yeah, they made the muscle toy line was based on that.
So I was reading that. Excuse me, I wasn't reading that. I was looking at the imagery of the wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know it was going back and forth. I fucking didn't know. Right? But I had that dropped in my lap. So I was lucky to have
Yeah.
different tastes.
Yeah.
I think I was actually more, because I read when I read that my first comic I introduced was the X-Men, but I only liked the X-Men because they were punk rockers. And then once they later on in Claremont, when they got the costume back to the mansion, I dropped the series like a bad habit. So I didn't realize I was kind of in that counterculture, even though I personally never did any counterculture stuff. I was never a punk or whatever. For some odd reason, I was drawn to that. The only other superhero series I got into was the New Warriors. But even then, I was always like, why? I was one of those kids that I couldn't understand why they were wearing these ridiculous costumes. Some of the costumes are cool, but I thought Wolverine's costume was cool. But the more you know this character, I'm like, dude, that character would never wear this. Like this, and I don't know. Maybe I should have written it, but there was some stuff where, like, even in the first movie, he's like, "You guys go out in public in these." I'm like, yeah, that's to me what I feel like he would say. But I mean, they were still cool looking. I never quite understood. Like, I was always like, Batman instilled fear in the guys. And I always thought Batman was cool, but if you saw somebody dressed up as a bat, would that really scare you? Or would you just be like, dude, that guy's fucking nuts? Or like, well, I mean, what? I don't know. What would you think?
Well, he is built like a linebacker in 6'6".
Yeah, I know. I think it would just be the girth of the man who would just be like, that guy's gonna fuck me up. But
yeah, not only it'd be even more scary because you're like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And he's gigantic. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Like, all right,
God.
gentlemen, we made it to hour 2. So thank you so much. You guys are all awesome. Please, Jeff, let's start with you. Where can we find you and your work, sir?
You can find The Public Defender on Kickstarter right now, all the way up until Saturday morning. So get your asses over to Kickstarter and get The Public Defender. If you missed that, go to getmagicpowder.com. You can get all my comics there.
All right. Randy, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Yeah. Sarah says, wow, 2 hours already. See, that's entertaining. Did you forget what time it is? You can find my podcast, Indie Comics Network, Randy Zim YouTube channel, Comic Book Black Belt YouTube channel, all sorts of other different platforms. Sunday Funnies, Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Comics by Night, Friday mornings at 5 a.m. Those times are Eastern time, so adjust your clock and time schedules accordingly, where we look at great old comics and go through some great stuff. Other than that, it's Arrow Comics. Look for Arrow Comics wherever good comics are sold. The Atlantean, Shadow Kingdom, and I have a War of the Worlds book printed through Caliber are all available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Ready for you to come in and look those over. The Atlantean 2 will be on fundmycomic.com in March. It's just a hardcore pulp sword and sorcery tale. I had a lot of fun with it, and Charles Santino had a little help with it, and he's written some Conan for Marvel in the past. And it's a fun story. So that'll be up and available in March at Fund My Comic. If you want more information on that, Russ Leach, who is the artist for the Atlantean and Shadow Kingdom, russleach.com for more information. He does a newsletter that goes out, I think, once a week when the campaigns are in full force. He doesn't bombard you with a lot of emails, but he will give you new information on Atlantean as it becomes available. And he's just knocking it out of the park with issue 2. Other than that, then just watch fundmycomic.com for more Arrow comics.
Right.
So and come listen to my podcast, because we have a lot of fun looking at a lot of older stuff. So the stuff that inspires us, not necessarily older stuff, but most of it's been this Sunday morning. Just this morning, we went through the Atomic Knights with John Broome and Murphy Anderson. And if you have not seen the Atomic Knights, you really need to. It's a great Silver Age property that takes place after the apocalypse, with guys in radiated suits of armor trying to put civilization back together again while riding Dalmatians the size of horses. It's fun.
Nice.
Great stuff. And more great stuff on all of those shows. We're archived at all those places I mentioned before. So go over there and check us out.
Cool. Jorge, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, so everything you need to know about what I'm working on right now, projects, Kickstarters, etc. You can find it under the link tree in my Instagram bio.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's where I keep everything. Make sure to look out for Frankie Boy Monster number 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's under the link tree too. So go and check that out and support that, please. Thank you.
There you go. Morgan, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Herron_art, HERRON_art. And I'm Morgan B. Herron on Facebook as well. And yeah, you can find Frankie Boy Monster issue 4 on Kickstarter. Feel free to back the campaign at any level you can. So yeah, got commissions and books. So yeah.
All right. Cool. Aaron, where can they find you and your work, sir?
The Facebook's Humphres Illustration, or just my name. Instagram, I kind of fell off posting on Instagram. I always forget to. I don't know. It's always more. I guess I'm old. It's like Instagram. Okay, I got to go back and do that. And then of course my store, Humphres Illustration, HUMPHRES illustration.com. You'll find all my stuff in there. Yeah, I think that's it for now.
All right, Mr. J.
UnstoppableComics.com is where you'll find all my social media links, so you can pick up books there. I will be launching Storm Chasers Volume number 2, featuring artwork from Russ Leach, February 28th. So that Volume 2 will go live then. If you are a returning backer, there's a special gift. It does not matter what campaign you have back from Unstoppable Comics before. Anyone is available for this special gift. And then I will be at the Industry City Comic-Con in Brooklyn on April 25th and 26th. I will be at Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia, June 20th through the 22nd, and New York Comic-Con back in October.
All right, cool. And I'm JD Calderon, the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles. Currently, Oswald's on Kickstarter, so you go check it out there. TheOswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com, Twitter, Facebook, all those different places under JD Calderon. And just remember, everybody, please go check out the show notes. All the show notes have everybody's links in there, so you can go to their campaigns and back those books. All of these creators are fantastic creators. They all do great work. So please go check them out. They all deserve your support. So click those links, buy those books, and just remember, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night. Thank you.
Later. See ya.
Peace.